little while. Tell me how it's been living downtown on the sea. No, it's been a while, though I wondered how you've been. You've seen the neon lights and the dawn rise from lonely nights, running wild along the sand. You jump from bed to bed, never listen to a word they said. Your life falling through your hand. You've seen the neon lights and the dawn rise from lonely nights, wild along the sand. You jump from bed to bed, you never listen to a word they said. Your life falling through your hand. Your life falling through your hand. Hey there, little girl, do you remember me? I'm just the man you left behind. Though the lights still shine on Broadway, there's a peace you'll never find. You've seen the neon lights and the dawn rise from lonely nights, running wild along the sand. You jump from bed to bed, never listen to a word they said. Your life falling through your hand. Oh, now, your life falling through your hand. Your life falling through your hand. Your life falling through your hand. Your life falling through your hand.
Yeah, okay. Hi, good evening. This is Alan again from The Broken Spine. Those of you that know me, wonderful. Those of you that don't, this is sort of my baby, my brainchild. We have fortunately, or been fortunate at The Broken Spine to publish artists, poets from I think something like 45, 50 countries. And this is our opportunity to get them all in the same space that we're trying to make the best of. So welcome to Emma, Rob, Veronica, Katie and Lauren, who I think have all been with us before and have been either previously published by ourselves or by our associate magazine, Reside Magazine, Unfortunately, they don't have a representative here with us this evening. Elizabeth's not feeling so good, so Lizzie Kimball, she won't be here. Once again, we are streaming live via Twitch, so a wave to our live audience and to anybody who might be picking this up later on YouTube or via our website. If you are watching live, you can leave a tip there in the Twitch tip jar, and that helps with the running cost of the magazine. So always appreciated. In other news, I'm pleased that certainly domestically, copies of the Broken Spine Artists Collective third edition have landed with, I think, pretty much everybody. I think there might be still some international copies outstanding. I was really disappointed that that wasn't the case when we spoke in April, met up in April. But now it is. We were just slightly behind times, but we're back on it again as it stands. Of course, we were reading throughout April for the upcoming edition, and that is due for release towards the end of the year, autumn time. But prior to that, we've also got Stuart M. Book. His chapbook is coming out. I think that is June 21st. So we might fudge the dates a little bit. And if Stuart has moved, he lives at the top of a mountain in America at the moment, and I think he is moving something like 1,800 miles. And by the time he moves, he might be somewhere where he's got internet connection and can actually attend one of these things. So rather than me reading one of his poems, which I'm going to be doing tonight, Stuart will be here to read for you himself. Okay, but that's a little bit of rambling from me. I should also point out as well that Stuart's book is available for pre-order on the website, and there's a lot of advanced praise there and a couple of recordings of him reading his own work. Okay, but I suppose, again, we're all here for the same thing, which is to listen to each other read some poetry or sometimes some prose even. The first person I've got on my list is Katie Jenkins. Are you happy to start us off, Katie?
Oh gosh, yeah, sure. Then I can relax, can't I? So why not?
Go for it.
Okay, I'm going to read two poems I haven't really read aloud before, and we'll see how they go. The first one is called Freestyle Tread Thrill, which is inspired by running on a treadmill and also my misspent youth as a freestyle disco dancer in southwest England. So here it goes. Freestyle tread thrill. Run, even though this conveyor is thump, thump, thumping to nowhere, and step counts don't confer redemption. Run, even though it hurts, because in your ears it's 95 and the beat drives hard and the singer knows how it feels to want. Run, faster and faster till your strides match the bass, till your heart beats 160 and you're back on a sprung floor in Torquay with your hair piled and your tan faked and your soles padded from spinning, toes calloused from dragging, split kick, thigh to eye, glitter polish fingers reaching. Run, like everyone's watching. They are, babe. Your rhinestones, pan stick, body stocking sequins. Your legs, arms, lungs, heart, 5, 6, 7, 8. Run for the next judge, the next drop. Smash out your stag leap here, babe, it's epic. She's seen it, she's marking your number. Run, because your mum studied your suit with love, babe. It's in every hand-glued stone that's shoaling. Even your scrunchie's got soul. Run. You've got this. Thump, 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 fuck redemption. You're one heat away from your final spot, babe. That's it.
Thank you very much.
I should have said it had swearing in it. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Katie. Not a problem. I know a group of 15-year-old boys that love that poem. They do. It was wonderful, and I'm sure Matthew would have appreciated it as well. Unfortunately, Matthew is not with us tonight, another fellow runner. I take it it's a hobby of yours.
Yeah, recently I started getting back into it, and I find I can keep it going so much longer if I've got that type of music that I used to dance to, which is about 160 BPM and matches my footsteps, and I'm there sort of thinking about the dancing and what I used to get up to.
That's the second time in about the last 40 minutes that I've been speaking about beats per minute. I was just speaking with an old friend of mine who's written us a wonderful piece for the website. It'll be going up next Sunday. And he was discussing the influence of dance music on David Lee Roth.
Wow, that's great.
It's an interesting piece, so do keep your eyes peeled for that when it lands next Sunday.
I will. I look forward to that.
Excellent. You said you had another poem?
Oh, I can do another one. Sorry, it's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? I should have just...
Oh, no, don't worry. We have plenty of time this evening.
Fab. I'm going to try this other one, also kind of based on a youthhood memory of a chemistry lesson. It's called Elemental. Elemental. I was 19. Potassium. Dangerous when wet. Burning bright lilac till spent. I was unpopular at 21, what with being sodium. I kept a wide exclusion zone. As tin, I was more convivial, highly practical, but empty and getting dented. I was shocked as anyone when I became gold. Cherished and precious how I shone for a time. But soon I was sallow ephemera, a hackneyed souvenir of love. I pooled, mercury. I bore my toxicity on the promise of change. And now here I am, inert and noble, glazed, waiting for the day I might electrolyze right back to potassium, to fizz and flash and feel the lilac heat burn through me again. Whoever decides, please let it be. Peel off my oilskin jacket, expose my soft midriff, see how I glint. Then let the rain come. I've time for one last explosion. And thanks, guys. I should say as well that 19 is the atomic number for potassium, and that's sort of where that began.
Thank you very much.
I love that. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I loved your first one as well, but I really, really like that.
Thank you.
I mean, Alan and I have spoke about stuff when we were in university together, but I like stuff when there's a slightly different angle, a different approach. And I think both of those work really, really well. I'm by no means any poet critic, and like I don't tend to dig in deep, but I know what I like, and I liked both of those.
Thank you.
I think what I found that was, can you hear me? I'd like to unmute it. Yeah. What I found that was particularly interesting about it, and I said at the top, didn't I, that we've got 4 or 5 ladies with us tonight and only 2 gentlemen. And that project that I was speaking about that I might well get funded for from Edge Hill. Where I'm going with this is that the idea that I have in mind is of coming of age poetry. I'm really, really drawn to coming of age novels, things like The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's one of my favourite novels, if not my favourite. And The Kind of Loving by Stan Barstow. But perhaps informed by my recent studies, I was looking at the masculine side of things, and I think perhaps I could be a little bit more open to other submissions, and that it might be a way to go. We'll see. We'll see. I did say that there would be hopefully good news forthcoming. Before I let you go, Katie, do you have anything to plug for us?
Oh, not really. I've just had a poem. Just had a poem published in a really wonderful feminist zine called They Call Us, and they call us something different each issue. And this one was They Call Us Damsels, and They Call Us Bossy. The next one's going to be called They Call Us Dykes. It's just really great, and they curate some great work. And I've got a bit of a fairy tale sort of retelling villanelle in that, so do check it out. They're not on Twitter, but they are on Instagram.
Right, okie dokie. Thank you very much. It's it would be a new zine to me. I don't really use Instagram. I feel like I'm too old for Instagram. Okay. The next person I have on my list is Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, can you hear me now? Because my
I can
thing
hear
was-
you. I
Yay.
can hear you. No, I
Excellent.
don't think Lauren has been published in Broken Spine. I think she.
No, I'm a reside person.
That's right. Yeah. Lauren, did you read prose for us the first time you appeared?
No, I can't remember. I think
Might
I
get you mixed up with
read
somebody else.
the
Apologies.
poem that was published in Reside, which was This Woman, I think it was, which was something that was written for International Women's Day. And then I think I read an environmental poem about bogs in the randomness of it all. It's quite nice that you were talking about coming of age poems, because the two that I've chosen to read this evening are both actually from, I suppose, university kind of type days. I did a really lovely workshop the other month with Liz Berry, and it was really wonderful. It's with the I do quite a lot of writing with the Mum Poem Press, so that's I've only really recently started writing again, so you know, during the whole lockdown thing, and that was where I started. It's more on Instagram than Twitter, but they got Liz Berry to come and do a really lovely workshop, and it was about tenderness in writing, which was lovely. But she was talking about taking someone from a situation and placing them somewhere completely different. So that's where this poem comes from. And it's about someone I used to know, and it's called Mexican Night at the Union Bar. I've stopped your car, hit the brakes, the locks are popped, and although you are drunk, you have agreed to come with me along the grey path, down from the cliff, past the bank of the river, cooling its brow in dark currents. Now you are sombreroed up and draped in pinks, the table festooned with drinks and friends. Your smile is towards me, and your loneliness is parked back up there in the car, on the grey path cliff and siren sea below. Your smile is towards me, through tassels bouncing to ranchera and tendril voices bursting orange into lime. The room is dancing now, the music is cinnamon, the children on swings swishing soft bodies through air, trailing globes of light that absorb the night with young colour. Chilies burn green vision into your mouth. You laugh, and it shows in your smile that you are every bit alive, that you are a whole world away from that car, those cliffs, and the wrecked sun against the waves. You are the whole world away. And you grip the wheel, and the sky is a wasteland of stars, and your smile, so alive, is towards me. That's the first one.
Excellent. Particularly like the Chili's burn green vision.
Yeah, it was great, that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Thanks. And then this one, so this poem came about for a very weird, so my friend, in our third year of university, I'm old now, but 20 years ago, whatever, she went and lived in Baton Rouge in New Orleans for a year. And a few years later, she takes photographs, and a good few years later, just after Hurricane Katrina, she went back and she broke into Six Flags, which is like a theme park in America, and the whole place has been untouched since the hurricane. So she took loads of pictures, these amazingly like desolate, abandoned fairground kind of pictures.
I'm
And
going
while
to wave my hand in the air and say somebody should be sending us them photographs.
I will send them to you. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And but the craziness of the story is that whilst she was there, she heard some noise and she thought it was the police and she was going to get arrested or whatever. It actually turned out to be her ex-boyfriend that randomly stealing some abandoned speakers, I think it was, and she just bumped into him, and it was just a really strange coincidence. And she'd shown me the pictures, so I asked her if I could write a poem about it because it was very cool. So this is it. It's called After Katrina, New Orleans, 2016. Standing behind a chain-linked fence, 2 legs of stone, the Six Flags sign. In early April, cool snap sun, I scaled the fence, camera slung across the swallow inked into my skin. I disturbed the starkness of a morning sky, and a Ferris wheel, its one lonely eye drowned into a blue grief lake, returned my gaze. Later, I snapped it, reframed through rotten wood. A lone wind wandered through the Art Deco O's of a fallen high striker, the hit and ping of orange against mauve and rusted steel on green. I caught some movement in the brown-yellow light through windows rippled with bullet hole bullseyes and grey-thrown graffiti. I saw your outline in film reel still. Bird sounds scraped marrow from the space overspilled between us with reeling pitch. In this void kingdom, looted by time, we met again over someone's lost prize, a flood-damaged monkey in its mud-caked smile. Later, you posed to the click of my camera, resounding the imprint of our Baton Rouge lives. It's strange what survives amongst windswept stone, the remnants of storms in portraits of ghosts. There you go.
I think that was a genuinely beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Did your friend enjoy?
She did. She said she cried. She's
Nice.
It's always good.
Certainly
Isn't it?
painted that picture. I'm going to ask the same question of you, Lauren, and indeed everybody else. Have we got something that we should be plugging tonight, Lauren?
Not really for me. As I said, I'm relatively new. I've only really been submitting stuff for the last 6 months, and I'm about to start the MA with Newcastle University and the Poetry School in poetry. I'm starting that in September, so I'm kind of doing lots of writing, but sort of sitting back a little bit and just biding my time.
I think Rob did an MRes in creative writing, didn't you, Rob?
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it's really interesting because obviously when you're doing the MRes, you don't have the same support framework as you would have if you're doing the masters, because it's not a taught degree, and it's very much on you to be able to do the research side of things. It was brilliant, and I loved it. At the time, if you'd asked me, I would have been like, "Oh my God, this is the most stressful thing in the world." But after the event, it was fantastic, and it's put me in. I mean, I was the creative writing. I was writing a novel, and so although I've been very lazy and I haven't gone back to it, the structure and the framework for the novel is there, and I need to move forward with that. And with the strange thing about COVID, I don't know whether anyone else feels the same way about this, is you've got all the time in the world to do stuff and feel so disinclined to do it. I've found it really, really difficult the last 12
It took me a long time to get going. I mean, so I'm an English teacher, secondary school. I've been a teacher for 15 years. I'm actually an assistant head, and I deal with behaviour and pastoral stuff. But by trade, I'm an English teacher. And the first lockdown, I didn't do any writing at all.
No.
I was so burnt out and exhausted. I didn't do anything. It's the second lockdown where I've done more writing, and then my work are actually funding this for me, which is just unbelievable.
Fabulous.
You know,
fabulous.
just amazing. And already actually, you know, I can use it in my practice, but actually it's really something for me. And the fact that they're supporting that, I'm just so fortunate. So I can't wait. And yeah, I think it'll be just a really wonderful slice for me in amongst everything else. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Do you do a lot of your work as a response to something else? Because when I was studying poetry, I very much that sense of ekphrasis, you know, responding to another art form. I find really, really interesting.
I have recently. I definitely used it. It definitely, I think because during lockdown I was doing more workshops than I'd ever done previously, because everything was online. So I think actually it affected the way I teach creative writing, which you don't really get to do that much of, actually, to be honest. If you at GCSE, you're teaching them to jump through hoops, aren't you? So it was lovely make that time and do it with them, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So it's definitely something. And another thing that I'm doing, which I'm hoping is going to feed into my MA, is so there's an artist, Zina Assi, who I really love, and she is she's from Lebanon, and she lives in the UK now. She does these amazing pictures, and she kind of examines the two cities. So I've kind of teamed up with her, and she's kind of agreed to work with me on like I'm assuming it's going to be perhaps a pamphlet, an idea of some ekphrastic poems of her work, which I've sort of started to do. So, and she's been really supportive of that. So that's something nice and exciting as well. So yeah, good.
Lots in the pipeline then.
Always.
Lovely. I did have a notification that Shantae had joined us. Shantae is one of the editing team at Resign magazine, but she's also in more. I mean, she has attended these before. I don't think she's ever read with us before, and I'm not sure whether she wants to show her face and say hello now. But I thought I'd mention Shantae because only in the last few weeks she has joined the staff at the Broken Spine. She's going to be putting out some poetry reviews for us, the first of which went out last week, and I forget the name of the poet, forgive me, but it was a review of 30 Days of Poetry, and it was on the topic of mental health, which was our theme for the output that we put out during the month of May. And the next person that would have been on my list would have been Steve, and given that Steve isn't here, I'm going to jump in and read one of Stuart's poems, and then I'll finish at the end with a couple of mine from a recent collection that only actually got finalised at the weekend. But this poem from Stuart is called Maps, and again on that theme of masculinity, I suppose, certainly of coming of age. So if you're happy to listen, this is Stuart book, and it'll be in Blue the Green Sky, which is due out the end of the month. Maps. It's 9:30, and I am at school, and we are outside on a warm day, and it's the first time I appreciate the shorts they make us wear, because my legs are warm and my arms are warm. And Guy Taylor and me are walking past the playground area towards the beautiful woods that we are warned about at the start of each term, but we can't resist because the trees look like broccoli and the sun shatters into a million tiny pins pricking the soft earth floor beneath the leaves. Excuse me. Into a million tiny pins pricking the soft earth floor because the leaves are thick like fur on bone. And Guy and me don't talk, we never do. We just walk towards the forbidden fruit, our own Garden of Eden. And as we near the woods, we turn to each other and smile, and he takes my hand, and I am 13, but this feels so natural that I could be 39, and I would still be as excited and happy as I am now. Once we are inside the woods, we have nothing to fear. The schoolyard is so far away it may as well be on the moon, and the cries and shouts of the children sound like a television turned all the way down. And we grip each other's hands tightly. And I feel his palm is clammy, and that makes me even happier because mine is too. It's dark now. And we've been here 10 minutes just walking and touching and smiling and laughing, and it feels like just a second has passed. But we both know soon it will be time to go and rejoin our classes and pretend that we are really interested in maths and art and swimming and learning, and all we really care about is each other and the forest and those moments when we can stop pretending and just be who we are among the trees and the pins and the flashes of light so bright you can taste them with your tongue, and the smell of the earth and the feeling of relief. And I never want to leave, but then it is time to leave, so we do. The last time I saw Guy Taylor was yesterday, And my teacher says I will never see him again. And if I'm lucky, I will be let back into school. But by God, if I ever so much as touch anyone, he will throw me out. And my mum is sad. And my dad is sad. And I am sad. I do not know if Guy is sad. And the thought of never seeing him again makes my stomach turn over. And I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye or good luck or thank you or I love you or hold him just one last time and tell him that everything will be fine and not to worry about who he is, because he is a walk in the fresh snow and a deep blue sky and a night spent inside listening to the rain.
Wow.
It's me riding on other people's coattails again.
People are going to go away think that poem Alan did was amazing, wasn't it?
It's a beautiful poem.
It is.
He's a very, very talented writer, very, very honest and brave writer. And I think that perhaps more than any of the other examples or poems from that collection really showcases his talent. So in lieu of him not being able to be with us, it was the best choice. But I'm not going to take up too much time. We'll come back to me later on. Emma has been sat there very patiently, and we're going to throw to Emma and see what she's got for us. How's that?
Thank you very much. I'm going to read a couple of poems from an earlier collection called Ghosts in the Desert. And this poem features ice skating. And I'll just say that chicken scratch embroidery does actually exist. And one editor told me I couldn't put chicken scratch stitches into a poem because she'd never heard of this form of embroidery. So I cheated and put it in anyway. So this is a frosted line for the dark to follow. A movement on my eye's periphery, and I see not a lake of shifting water, but a skin of ice tinged blue under the moon, and you lacing skates. Tracks of your warm-up circuits create a smoother border than the natural ragged edge, defining a rink. You move to the center. The darkness deepens. There's a hush like a hunter watching prey. You're mapping elements, seeing ice cobwebbed with tracks. Chicken scratch stitches for a step sequence, a break for a jump, a nodule like cuckoo spit on a twig for a spin. You've not moved yet. Your mind feeds you the rhythm. You wait for the right beat, push off onto your shadow on a single edge from a hollowed blade. You leave a frosted line for the dark to follow that will melt when the ice does, unless I can remember it as if it were words engraved on glass. Thank you. And my second poem again revisits Hurricane Katrina, but in this poem she's reimagined as a jazz fan. So Katrina goes to New York. Hit New Orleans, then on to New York, north via St. Louis, that was my plan. Follow the jazz trail. Yeah, well, I know, almost 100 years too late. The timing wasn't FEMA's strong point. Got to feel the atmosphere where Jelly Roll Morton, Johnson, Armstrong, Ellington accompanied Ella, and Billy vocalized Strange Fruit, musicians by heart, ear and instinct. From Storyville up the Mississippi to Cafe Sunset to Cafe Society, rounded too soon, spent before New York. Took 2 weeks to plan as well. Snag it, hit top 5. Thought 14 feet levees would hold 10.5 feet of water. Thought the levees would be interlocked. Thought as I blew into the Big Easy, nearly chop sueyed the Superdrome's roof. Was taken aback. People were in there. I heard Jabbar Gibson drove a bus of 100 people to Houston and may be in trouble for it as I twirled to Kentucky, off course, off target, running down, near spent, blown out with dehydration. I let a song go out of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. And you said that they were from a previous collection?
Yes, Ghosts in the Desert from Indigo Dreams.
Indigo Dreams.
Yeah.
I've just reviewed recently, sorry, not reviewed, but interviewed Victoria Bennett, who was published on Indigo Dreams. with her most recent collection about, I think that's about personal loss,
Yeah.
losing her mother. They put some really good work out.
They've just won the Saboteur Award for Best Innovative Publisher. So
So you should be very, very proud to have work published with them. Okay. Have you got any other readings or anything like that up and coming? I remember last month you had something else to plug. You were going to be attending something, weren't you? Another live recital.
yes, that was States of Independence in Leicester on the 24th of April. I've got a couple of poems in forthcoming anthologies. One is from Culture Matters. It's called Cry for the Poor. Fran Locke's editing it, and it's working class poetry. And the second one is Arachne Press's anthology of poetry by deaf and hard of hearing writers, which is coming out in September.
Excellent, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
When I mean, I'm speaking to everybody now, not just Emma, but when you do have these publishing successes, feel free to tag us in your tweets or Instagram posts, and we're more than happy to share them. We really are. We've said numerous times that we are trying to build a community, so sort of following in the footsteps of Matthew Smith at Black Bow, who do fabulous things, and we're more than happy to share your successes when they come along. Okay.
Okay.
The next person on my list then would be Rob, if you're happy.
Right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And I'll shut up.
Yeah. It's a long time since I've actually sat down and wrote anything. So this is an old one. I think I'm sure I've shown this to you before, Alan. It's what you'd call a list poem, essentially. So it's kind of well, I'll read it anyway. It's called Bread Van. Bread Van, Pop Man, coffee, walnut whips, 13.5 pence Coke and Daily Mirror chips. When wireless meant a radio, when diesel fuels for trucks, Lamborghini posters and libraries full of books. Benny Hill and Ronnie's too, Morecambe's words to wise, Michael Bentine's potty time, Jim Fixter's with his lies. Public information films, Charlie Says and Green Cross Code, clunk, click, every one you fools, Savills on the road. Party 4, Watney's Red, the pub shut after 10, love, hate, tattoos on hand, and platform souls for men. Bolan M and Bowie D, androgyny on tap, Shawaddy Waddy, Boney M, quality v crap. Street parties, Russell Harty, God save the Queen, Sex Pistols, Jethro Tull, and all that's in between. Working class, shattered glass, disaffected youths, Thatcher's rise to prominence on a tide of plastic truths. That's Bread Van. You said about doing some prose, and I know we've had this conversation before about what I tend to do when I'm writing is I like to sort of draw from my naivety, because I went to university quite late in the day and really didn't know what to expect. And so it's almost like a lot of the stuff I write, I try and write it from the position of ignorance, if that makes sense. So in the first year at university, we read Jane Eyre, and I absolutely hated it. I really, really hated it. And actually, I really, really love it now. And it's not necessarily that I hate. What I didn't like was the first person form of it, because it just felt very constrained in what Bronte was writing. But actually, now I can see it for what it is. It's something completely different. So I wrote a 100-word piece of microfiction, which is called The Assassination of Jane Eyre. And this is it. For want of betterment, dear reader, I took upon myself to find game employment in the education of one such as myself, but 5 or so years prior. My willingness, nay, my desire, to impart knowledge unto such a young woman, while scarcely being an adult myself, did, I do declare, fill my heart with trepidation, not felt hence. Surely there is no nobler employment than to want a student to outperform their tutor, 'Twas, dear reader, all to come to naught, as the crosshairs of that most deplorable man, Winchester, with a loud bang, did end my days prematurely. So that's how I was feeling about poor Jane at the time. But like I say, it's I've got different feelings towards it now. I'll just
Jane there, a simplified version to a bunch of year sevens when at the end of 2019, early 2020.
yeah,
The girls loved it, the boys were completely and utterly disinterested.
yeah.
Completely and utterly disinterested. And I wasn't sure that I would like it, to be perfectly honest. Etiquette literature, have you heard that term before?
I have, yeah. Well, what I find about it is interesting if you compare it to something like Emma. Emma was kind of, Austen's Emma. It was the first time anyone had kind of broke away from the narrator becoming an unreliable narrator, and suddenly characters in the book don't know what the reader knows, which is my problem with Jane Eyre, is because everything, because everything's from her point of view, and you just take it as read. But it was a very early novel. It was quite experimental in its form, but Emma is a different kettle of fish altogether and is more entertaining for it, but still a great novel. And, it's part of the canon, isn't it? So let's not diss it.
Have you read the follow-up?
To diss it.
Have you read the Wilds for Gasso Sea?
I haven't, no.
The response that was gifted to me by the curriculum mentor who was
right
in school, but yeah, that was my Christmas present from her, which was very lovely, and I felt awful because all I'd done was buy a card. Something else to read.
Do you want me to read anything else?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, all right. I found this poem, like I say, because I was I didn't know what to read because it's that long since I wrote anything. So I found this poem that I'd wrote ages ago, and it kind of fits in with what you were saying about the coming of age sort of idea. It was written in response to a photograph that somebody posted on Facebook, which was of, that's kind of the group photograph of your primary school. So there's all of these people that I remember, and some of them I know what happened to them, others I don't. So I just wrote this. I don't think it's my finest work, but hopefully it's reasonably entertaining. So this is it. I don't think it even has a title. I don't think it hasn't really got a title. So this is it. High sky, summer sun, squints and shadows. Tempest should really know better. Golden hair and skewiff ties on delicate necks. Gormless, half-toothed sponges on legs grin. Time stands still for attention. Pigtails and rough cuts, money too precious, parents and neighbours take up the scissors. Never got the memo for the knee-high socks, but the shoes they all wear are the same, the brown scuffed sandal of 1976. Front row, fourth from right, a boy hides his future in disguise. He used to be a heroin addict. Now he's just a methadone addict. Stop the press. He's dead. The centre, a distracted gaze, one less mantelpiece. Pigtails sits one seat away, unaware in infancy of my love. The unrequited love for the adult she became. A void gaze of the butter wouldn't melt bully. A success built on domination. Without context comes reverence or envy. The broad heads and the shuffle bottoms give way to the occupationals, the smiths and the tanners, the farmers and the clerks. All look down on the good fellow. A Thatcher steals our milk as pink custard builds our bones. The ultimate excitement is a dog on the playground. So that's the first time that's had any airing at all. So
well received here.
Was it? Oh, good. I couldn't see anybody because I had it up on the screen.
I'm going to say there was a line in, I think it was Lauren's poem about the heat, the green heat.
Yeah.
And there was a line in that poem that really, really stood out to me tonight. That, sometimes you hear things. I wish I'd written that. Never got the memo from the knee high socks. Just perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Very, very jealous. Veronica has been sitting there very, very patiently for us all to finish gabbing.
Hi. Yeah, I've got a few poems to read. This first one, um, it's a part two. Last month I read a poem called A Moment on the Causeway, and that was essentially part one. And this one is like an additional response to that poem I read last month. So I'm going to be reading A Moment on the Causeway, part two. A year later, it seems, and I'm back on the same causeway pass, this time more cars than the last. Again, I drive and watch as two birds fly with each other, lighter, faster. But this time my soul doesn't feel quite so heavy. I no longer want to escape. I just want to be. I want to stay in this moment forever, maybe. Or maybe those birds are some kind of guides, and maybe they're just ordinary dang birds that swoop and peck and fly away. But whatever they are, a year later, it seems, I am temporarily happy. Even amidst the cars and the light traffic, even when others don't want me to be, even when the others can't let go, I hold on to this. And for the past year, I'm still unsure as to why. It's almost like deja vu, but not as dark as before. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, that was a response to the poem I read last month. And this other one is a poem I wrote in response to just, the way the world is going, and just the earth, and, needing to take care of it, and climate change and all that. It's titled From the Far Side of the Crying River. There is something on the water that wasn't there yesterday, a somberness. I see water leaking into the earth on its edges, almost like the river is crying. I can feel it. I can feel its sorrow. If I could, no matter how hard I scream, it wouldn't be loud enough. I feel like crying too, but I don't. I kneel down and dig my hands in wet soil. I will hold this earth as I sometimes need to be held, and let it know I can hear it crying. I can smell its tears, and I will catch as much as I can. So that's that. All
Thank you
right.
very much, Veronica.
Thank
And you've
you.
sent us a submission, haven't you?
Yes, I did.
You have sent us something in April, which we are wading through at the moment. Over
Oh,
200 pages, 240 pages of poetry, and that's not even touching on the photography, which for some reason this month has come in droves for the first time ever. Really, we haven't really had to go looking for it, so we will get back to you.
no worries, no worries. I completely understand. I'm
and-
happy you have so many,
Definitely. We're extremely excited to have received it, to be perfectly honest, because I hadn't met you or read your work before we met last time, and I think it was perhaps the other poem that you've written, read the response to tonight that sort of really excited me. And you've started this evening. The question that I didn't put to Rob, I'll give him opportunity to answer in a moment. Veronica, do you have publications up forthcoming?
Yes, I have a poem coming out. It's probably going to be a little while though, in Ethel magazine, titled Growing Festering Roots. So that should be coming out sometime in a few months, or sometime maybe in the fall at latest. So that should be coming out, and then I am in the process of putting together my own collection. I'm like Lauren, I'm fairly new to this poetry scene, so I'm working to put a collection together. So I'm really excited about that.
When you say you're working to put a collection together, how many poems are you looking at putting together?
Well, I'm trying to sift through what I have right now. Probably like, probably like 80 poems. On kind of on the longer side, but if I needed to make it shorter, maybe like 50. Like maybe like a chapbook. So that would be fun for me to do. I'm just trying to sift through all my work that I'm So I have an idea. It's starting to finally take shape, which is a good feeling because after feeling kind of stuck, I'm like, I have something now.
Excellent.
So yeah, so I'm working on that. So it's exciting.
Excellent. Rob, I'm going to ask the question of you. I have a feeling that I might know the answer. While I'm doing this, I'm going to ask you four ladies, if you want to read anything else, then by all means have a look at what you've got. I'll read 2 or 3 from something I'll go on about in a moment. But Rob, how's your collection coming on, or novel? You're working on 2 and a memoir, I think.
I started writing a memoir at the beginning of the lockdown because everyone was doing it, but everyone famous has done it, and I it sounds quite. I don't want to sound big-headed. I think it's brilliant, but then I would because I wrote it and it's about me. So yeah, but it's definitely the most cathartic thing I've ever done with regards to writing. It's really, really interesting, and it's trying to take stuff that might seem not very interesting and make it appear interesting by not embellishing, but literally by use of language. And I think that's something that your poetry brings to the party. So that's been fun. I've also started writing a play. I seem to sort of zoom in on the notion of suicide because the novel's about suicide, and it's not that I'm gonna go and hang myself after this. It's just I don't know. I can't really put my finger on what it is. I just find it really fascinating. And I was the play I'm writing is linked to football and to suicide. Not necessarily footballers, but I just it's trying to find a hook that might save somebody. And so I was considering perhaps approaching someone like Everton in the community about being able to get funding to do something like this. But it's absolutely in its infancy. And if I'm completely honest, I've been so subdued the last couple of months that I've found it very difficult to have any sort of output. So I haven't really got any output as such this is the first time I've done anything like this in a long, long time. And I really need to push myself because it's one of those things where when I do it, I come out, when it's finished, you get the real sense of a buzz and you think, I haven't done this for ages. It's great. Why have I not done this for ages? But you just become your own worst enemy in those respects. So I really do need to sort of pick up the pen, so to speak.
It sounds like you've got plenty there if you find the energy to crack on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. So on that theme that I've gone back to a couple of times of coming of age and work that's sort of in the pipeline as well. Fingers crossed this is. Paul, co-editor here at Broken Spine, Paul Robert Mullen, and 2 poets. One of us hoping to be with us tonight, David Walsh, who's unfortunately had to back out for other reasons. I think he double booked himself. And another lady who's been in our pages, Marianne Shaw. She hasn't appeared on one of these, but she's another local poet that we admire and we have published. We got together for a submission call that came out back in late winter, early spring, and we put together a collection of 40 poems, 10 poems each, that are all based in Southport, which is a little sort of tired seaside town about 20 miles north of Liverpool. Rob will know it. It was the first time for a number of months where I had picked up the pen and actually written something, and I'm going to read you 2 or 3 of the poems that are in that collection. We've got our fingers crossed that it will be picked up. If it's not picked up elsewhere, it's something we can be very proud of, and it might even become a Broken Spine project. Well, let's just wait and see. So those poems, the first being Funland. Can't see my own writing. Here we are. Boy arrived by train, looking for a fairground girl. Aimless laps of the marina, his sleek, swan-like torso sending girls spinning like happy hardcore waltzers. That afternoon, hiding among the twisted reflections, clawing hot hands, bodies pressed together, touch of tenderfoot lips, girls outside, smoking, waiting their turn. Okay. Bank holiday Mondays used to be fun when I was growing up. Being so close to Liverpool, there was a lot of lads that used to come over. I'd called them fairground girls. That's not really very fair, but local girls, certainly, trying to make an impression. I could navigate these streams blindfolded. This was a really interesting one to write. Finding it difficult. I'm thinking I've hit my limit with writing about Southport. I've been doing it for however long. I embarked on, none of you will believe this, whether you're here listening or listening on Twitch. I placed myself outside my old school on Google Maps and followed the route that I used to do, just walked it along along Google Maps, just clicking. It's about 4 or 5 miles. I used to walk home every night. Used to avoid the school bus because I didn't particularly like some of the people who used to get on with me. But what it did was it gave me 7 or 8 markers, things that really stood out to me as a child, as a 13, 14-year-old boy, and I put them together here. I could navigate these streets blindfolded. I know each cracked and recessed slab like the crowns of my children. The bird that picks at straw thatching and the summer house in the garden we never bought, the tree-lined avenues where I practiced free kicks and the hidden ginnels where I lost myself. The blue, bell-top fence where I had my virgin kiss and the shop where I bought other boys' cigarettes. The self-service laundry opposite my friends and the stadium where Nan remarried. It's that one. I'm going to finish with this. This is called Birding. And I'm not going to say it's the best poem I've ever wrote. It isn't. But it's got the favourite line that I've ever written in this. I'll see if you can pick it out. It's called Birding. Roads disappear like dreams buried beneath sand grooves. Cars, abandoned by amblers and twilight photographers, collect like dead flies on a windowsill. Belts of saltish wind whistle through a stripped ribcage pier. Pale pearl sky, clouded glass, lit by flickers of black-tailed birds, lunging headfirst into folds. And that's that one. That's me. I shan't read anymore. I'm gonna throw back over to anybody else who might want to read. But before I do, again, I'm gonna plug the work that Mr. McCurry, Ben does for us over on Twitch. So I don't think he was about on Friday evening, but he is regularly about, and this isn't necessarily for everybody in the room here, perhaps for our broader audience, where Ben is playing games with a literature sort of bent. So anything that is literature focused, it's worth going to join him on there. It's only a small community at the moment. You get access to him and he'll talk you through the games and just tell you what it is that he thinks is so important about them. As part of my MA that me and Rob were talking about at the top, I'm watching a hell of a lot of Alan Partridge, far too much for my family's good. But that's what my dissertation is on. I am sort of banging the drum for the comedy to be taken seriously as an academic concern, and Ben is doing his MRes at the moment. Similarly, he is banging the drum for gaming, video gaming, specifically GTA, to be taken seriously. Anything with such a great impact as the sitcom or gaming, we think has such a profound reach and potential impact in wider society. So that is where that comes from. And again, like I say, you can sort of help out by leaving us a tip there if you feel like you can. So hands in the air, people who want to read again. That's all of you. I'm trying to remember which way you came now. like a game of Bop It.
Little one.
It was Lauren and then Veronica, Katie and Emma. How's that? Lauren,
I think it was Katie before me.
was it? Oh, apologies.
I'm happy to go first. That's fine. Katie, do you want to go first?
I don't mind, but you go. You're ready.
All right.
You've got this.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So there's. I'll read two if we've got time, just because they're both poems that. Well, one is going into the Summer Anywhere anthology, and the other one I've been told is on the shortlist for the Arachne Press. They're doing an anthology about the A470, which is a road in Wales, which if you're Welsh, which I am, you'll know. If you know, you know. So these two poems are both, I suppose, the sort of poems that I revert to. You have your comfy poem style, the things that you'll revert back to. So I tend to write about Wales if I'm unsupervised. So I'm not concentrating. So I'll read them both. So the first one is A Road Away from Home. So this is about the A470. Time has brought me back to tread this green silk road that 20 years have grown into the cracks and plotted lines that mapped my travels through these heathered hills, like a welkin shadow rooting through my country's brow. We drive to Cardiff for a gig, just to buy a ticket from a spit and sawdust pub, and folded neatly in my lap is all my artless love for you. The road was steelwork shadow slip that led me off to you, my back turned from the pleading coast, closed off the rush of sea and carried me to where the scattered air was twinkled blue with valley lights of new and hot-mouthed love. The last time I was on its path, I heard time's murmur in the darkness shift, and at the heels of youth, I had to part with it. As a child, I used to think that fairies lived in Castle Coch and cry as we drove past before I knew what had been lost. So that's one. And then this is the one that's in the Summer Anywhere anthology with Dreich. It's called To My Country on Our National Day. All my life, I have been turquoise eggs hidden in hedgerow, waiting for you to discover me, to turn me over in your hands, compare my shell to the wild birds in our family garden. On this yellow day of bloom, I think about the ways in which I am bound to you with 1 foot in and 1 foot out of your shores. In blur, the dark frown of Potolbut asserts its orange steel shadow coast. Your sea, a stripped blue earth desert with red rust in your skin. Your heather mountain summers are not mine. Your ruined abbey ghosts do not flicker on the boundary of my faded town. Once I was gifted a spoon, a tiny carving of love spoken in Welsh wood, sung by the tongues, the wax feather voices of the past. I will keep it in that moss-hushed space. I will keep it where I keep the wonder of a folly on a green-laced bank. Each soft light, smelted silver ore, a memory that reached up from the valley on lost nights, watched by my longing eye, has been threaded like a rosary, oysters on a rope. I hold them and touch them like a little girl without a mother, who traces the scarred backs of trees to find the path that's hers.
Wonderful, thank you.
Loved it. Yeah, loved them both.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, was it Kate?
Yeah, I think you said for me to go next. I kind of can't resist this one now after your Funland poem, Alan.
Go on. This is going to be interesting.
It's quite an early poem of mine. Sort of wrote it at the beginning of the creative writing course that I did, and it eventually sort of turned into a short story. And so I sort of left the poem, but I'll read it because I think I want you guys to hear it. It's called Roller Coaster. Okay, roller coaster. She comes alone. I tower over her, a beacon. My flashing lights dance on her cheek. Gingerly, she lowers herself onto me. The restraint goes down. I cradle her, safe, and yet I thrust forward, whip this way and that. She is pinned, surrendered. I crank her up, up, up. I hold her, wait for it, wait for it. Down we swoop, the rush of air, the roar of the tracks. I deliver her. She screams. She comes alone, rides me every day until I move on.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed that. I did.
It actually became a short story about a woman who marries the waltzers. But it started off as a poem from the point of view of a roller coaster.
There's something about the word waltzer. I think it's mentioned in about 3 poems in that collection that I was telling you about. And for some reason, Microsoft Word doesn't like the word waltzer.
No.
Veronica, are you happy?
Yes, thank you. I'll read 2. They're not super long. But yeah. So this first one is titled Road 41. It was a place that I went to with someone kind of in the outskirts of nowhere, and it just kind of hit me how beautiful it was. There was this I'll read it and you'll see. Road 41. It was an hour before sunset, I think, and we had not so chilled white wine and sandwiches you had brought. You tried to surprise me with a lemon bar, and I resisted the urge to tell you my grandmother's maiden name was Lemon, because we barely knew each other at that point. We stood on the cliff, dangerously close to where the land had caved into the river a year or so before, but we didn't care. The sunset was enough, the water was enough, the sandwiches and warmish wine were enough. It has always been enough. Maybe one day we can go back and we won't see it any differently. Thank you. And last one I will read for you today is called A Lavender Field in My Bed. Like scented dreams, I bury my face into my pillow. You see, I have a lavender field in my bed, and tonight I think the feeling of soft tingling lavender kisses will make me dream in a world of lilac. I will sleep soundly until light comes through my window like sprouts through soil, and it will feel like sunrise breaking over the edge of my bed, lighting my lavender field in golden light at dawn. A rejuvenation of soul to light, light to earth. Just me, the sun, the soil, the lavender, and my bed. That's all I have right now.
Beautiful, Veronica. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to shoot to Emma, but Rob, are you intending on reading one more?
Yeah, I'll read one more, yeah.
Okay, so if we go to Emma, I've got one point down, and Rob, and then we'll finish. How's that?
Sounds like a plan.
Yep, that's a plan. I've got a couple of short ones. I don't really write cheerful poems, so these are a bit lighter. We went on a trip to Dublin, Ireland, and I bought an anorak specially because I was told it always rains in Dublin, and I didn't get to wear it once. So this is the weather in Dublin. I was told it rains in Dublin, but you'd asked if I'd packed the sun. It seems I did. I carried my raincoat as I posed for a photo in Dunleary Harbour that looks as if I'm standing on water. You carried it with you. You loved that I refused to be tossed around by your moods, but anchored you, bringing sunshine. And this last one is the Rutland Panther. You surprised a motorcyclist into a wrong turn while sunning yourself on warm tarmac. As I drive, you lurk in my periphery like a hook for something not understood. I'm reminded of derelict Detroit factories where weeds no longer skulk in shadows, but are tendrils greening an urban jungle. I will you into view. Teach us how to survive. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Rob, do you want to go now or do you want to go last?
I don't mind.
You want a headline? I'll let you headline.
Okay.
But before I read, I'm just going to say a couple of things. Again, not necessarily for the people in the room, but the people watching at home. Although we have no hard copies of edition 3 left, we don't tend to hold stock, unfortunately, being not-for-profit. We sort of order what is, or print what is ordered. However, we do make it available for digital orders, and it has only recently become available as a digital copy. The same will happen for Stuart's book, although I think we probably will hold some stock of Stuart's book if we can find the funds to do so. And that is available on the 21st of June, I think. You can pre-order it now for the hard copy. 21st thereafter, we're hoping that it'll just be or there will be additionally the digital version, the PDF version, and existing already on the website are some digital bundles where we try and keep the price down and you can buy them all together and have a little bit of money off and all that type of thing. So if you've not been inclined to leave something in the tip jar, you can always go and spend £2 on the website, and that's the cost of postage, UK or something like that. It really helps us out. I always feel that I'm sort of sat around with my hand out, and it's really uncomfortable. It's not nice. It doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not a salesman, not by a long shot. What I'm going to do now is, because these kind of went down well last time, and one of Rob's list poem had me sort of searching away for this. So forgive me if it looked like my eyes weren't on everybody. I was trying to dig out this John Cooper Clarke poem. People who know me certainly know what we publish. We don't really do rhyme in poetry, but when it comes to performance, it's a completely different thing. And this one isn't particularly a well-known one of his, or certainly isn't an older one. It's more recent as far as I'm aware. It's called Euro-Communist, Gucci, Socialist. Big deep breath. For a modern home and cheap electricity, streamlined, functional, neat simplicity, put yourself on the some clearance list, dial a delectable materialist, find out what your net potential is, get married to an existentialist. Don't doubt your own identity, dress down to cool anonymity, the Pierre Cardin line to infinity, clothes to climb the meritocracy, the new age of a benevolent bureaucracy. I like to visit all the big cities, museums and municipal facilities. I strive for official ability. I thrive on political activity. I'm alive in a new society. I arrive quickly, quietly. The car that I drive is the family variety, Roman Catholic, Marxist, Leninist, happily married to an eloquent feminist, a lapsed atheist. All my memories measure the multitudes, deafening density, psycho citizens are my enemies. Crypto Nazis and their remedies keep the city silent as the cemetery's architectural Gothic immensity. A new name on the list and socialist, the Euro-Communist, the Gucci Socialist.
Well done, man.
I've not practiced that one for a while.
I've heard that one before, actually. It is a great poem.
It is a good one. I like that one. But something a little bit different. Okay, Rob, you're going to finish up, and then we're all going to say goodbye and get back to our families.
All right, okay, yeah. So if you all start vanishing as I start reading, then I thought I might as well sort of, if you can see that, Broken Spine, 2nd edition. You know the one I'm going to read, obviously, Alan.
I do, yeah.
The thing about this poem is I always thought it's a very visual poem. I didn't think it would really equate very well as a performative thing. You can see it's like it's done in the form of a menu. And actually then I read it and it went down really well. So I'll give it a go. Okay, it's called Hipster's Paradise. Hipster's Paradise. Crudités include the lesser bearded asparagus, garnished with the oil of pulped Humboldt, wild boar, get your coat you've pulled. Lettuce, the vegetarian option, flame-grilled halloumi, the squeaky cheese, served on rye bugger bread and topped with an egg, lovingly poached in the juice of virgin pears. All our eggs supplied by free-range lesbian chickens. No duck eggs for fear of offence, the shock of promiscuity, the rape of mallard. Surf and turf, served on recyclable swimming aids, available to take away at a small replenishment cost. All other meals on refugee vessel reclaimed wood. Tentacles humanely sourced without slaughter. Chef says they grow back in time. Vegans, enjoy the same with our speciality twice boiled bath mat. New wave old school pancakes, not to be confused with crepes. Apartheid grapes, feel our wrath. IPA style, not empire's dominance. Fags are not LGBT and must be hand rolled. Tables are benches, privacy's public. Gingers are welcome, as are shy Tories. A pint is a pint. A schooner's an intermediate excuse for a liver function test. The Poet's Corner is a drunken aside where Trumps and liberalism collides. Autographed flattery will get you everywhere for a fiver. Cheap Souls, a retrospective of the Emperor's new clothes. Sustainable beard oil is available in our gift shop.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
And I did catch that message in the chat there, Veronica. Very kind of you to say so. Straight back at you. And I know that we're all about to finish. So once again, it's been lovely to see you. Like I say, hopefully next time we meet or next time we're online for our poetry event, we'll have Stuart here to read for us. So fingers crossed that his whoever it was who was moving him like 1,800 miles, let him down at like 45 minutes notice that they couldn't be there, U-Haul or whoever it might have been. So whatever it is he's going, I think he's moving upstate to New York, is going to have a solid internet connection rather than where he is at the moment, farming plums, I believe. Again, I'll give a shout out to Ben over on Twitch, and he'll be with you, I think, Friday, and we should probably speak about some of the upcoming collections. Stuart's out on June 21st, TBSA C4 due out back end of the year, and we've all had a chat about what we're putting out at the moment. And again, when this does go out on Twitter in the next 24 hours or so, do attach anything that you're in at the moment too. And we'll share that, and we'll spread that about and make sure that everybody's fully aware. You may as well use this as a vehicle for good and give you all opportunities to share your work. That's wonderful. And if you haven't already, I'm gonna mention Discord to you, which is a place where we have a community of, I think there's something like 60 poets and editors in there, where you're able to workshop both your poetry and your prose, flash fiction, engage with other poets, share your successes, share your failures if you wish, and enter that competition as well, which is a monthly competition. And we're going to be sharing the winner of that of May in the next day or so. And last thing as well, I know I'm taking up everybody's time. I said it was going to be quick. Last thing, today our Sunday drop was the 3 most recent pieces of flash fiction, which went live on our website. I forget the names and the authors off the top of my head. I should have them written down in front of me, really. But if you check our Twitter account, they're all there, or you go to the website, and we will open the game. And I suppose this is only really important for people who are watching live. We will open the game on the 1st of June for a 24-hour reading period, where we will take in submissions, and Lucy Orr and Lizzie Kemble will be presiding over the editing of that and selecting the flash fiction pieces, which will be published towards the end of June. Okay. Again, thanks again, people, for coming. Good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks,
No
everyone.
problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.